Okay, so I'm going to make this video in the dark room because for you not to see my red swollen eyes. I just can't believe that a couple of hours ago I was hanging out with my friends, having fun, dancing, enjoying the concert, screaming, and just had the time of my life. Now I have to switch over to the topic that is quite hard to me to talk about. So let's start. The first thing I want to tell is, it seems sometimes that life plays tricks on us. And what I mean, I will describe you the situation, like the person seems to follow a healthy lifestyle and does sport and thinks positively and just full of energy, and then just like that passes away suddenly. None of us can feel secured. And one more thing that I want to point out is you may think I'm crazy, but have you ever had this feeling? It's described in the film Ghost. Have you watched it? Quite an old film with Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore and Whoopi Goldberg, and there was an episode at the beginning of the film when they were lying in bed and having this conversation, and the main character just told her that he's so happy and everything is so good that he feels scared. He's afraid that something bad is about to happen because it seems like we don't deserve this all these good things when other people around us suffer with some serious diseases, cope with some difficulties and problems and things like that. And one more thing that is quite that happens to me quite often. Usually it happens with me when I drive a car, and when a sudden dangerous situation occurs. It seems like my imagination draws awful pictures within a couple of minutes. I can imagine and I have a picture in front of me, like what would happen if I was injured in a terrible car accident that was about to happen, and what would happen to my daughter, and what if I was bedridden, things like that. It was like an introduction for the story about the health problems and some things that we have to cope with. The first story, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories about my life and my relatives. And the first story is about my mom. When I was a teenage girl, my mom got sick, and all the time we didn't take it very seriously because she tried to guard us from all the details and just not to make us worry. And she had to be hospitalized in a department of surgery, and the situation was quite serious. She had an operation, and That time we didn't know much, and only some years later we found out that she had just problems, some serious problems with her women's health, and but luckily everything is okay now, and it's just mm, like a scary story from our past. And the next story is about my granddad's death, and that is the story that seemed to me like the life played a trick on us. He was that kind of a person who followed a healthy lifestyle, never smoked, and wasn't addicted to alcohol or any other bad things. He was very energetic and a man aged 82 who is quite fit and full of energy, and he kept working, and he it wasn't like kind of work that you spend some hours in an office doing some paperwork. No, he was a scientist, and he was a founder of Arboretum in Krasnoyarsk, and every summer he clipped hedge, and he worked with the students, checking their diploma thesis, and he arranged the excursions about Arboretum, and he was good photographer, and he could spend hours walking and taking photos, because he wrote different scientific articles and books, and he was like straight as a poker and laugh enough in him. But then it happened just like that, and he started feeling fatigue, and didn't feel like eating, and spent more time than usual lying in bed and taking a nap, and but actually nothing hurt. There were no any symptoms that he was ill, and he didn't have a feeling that he was coming down with something, and he didn't catch a cold, like no cough, no sore throat, no temperature, nothing. And but we knew that we need to do something, and so we made an appointment, and I went to see a doctor, and to have a checkup, and like usual things that they always do when you come to the doctor, like having some blood tests, and the doctor examined his body, asked him some questions, and just checked his blood pressure, usual things, and everything was quite okay according to his age, actually. And then he asked us to have an X-ray exam, and it happened 5 years ago, but I still remember this day like it happened just yesterday. I was the person who took him to the doctors, and before it we just dropped in a post office to pay the bills and get my granddad's pension, and then we headed to the polyclinic, and to have an X-ray exam. And you know, it seems like my life turned upside down. And I remember the doctor was looking at the screen and stood still, and I just looked at his face and realized that it's gonna be bad news. And you know, then the doctor invited some other doctors and the chief physician, and they asked us to leave the room and wait for a while. And you know, these minutes were a nightmare to leave, actually. Then they let us walk in the room, and my granddad sat on the sofa. I remember his eyes, and I just looked at him. He seemed so helpless and vulnerable, and the doctor just came to me, having this X-ray in his hands, and he showed it to me and just whispered, "Cancer." And you know, he told us that nothing can be done, and we need to just devote this time kissing goodbye. And so it was very difficult for me, because I knew that I'm the person to announce this terrible news to the family when I come home, and I needed to stay calm. So just maybe 10 days later, he passed away, and you know, his last will was a glass of champagne. And that is the end of my story.